Hey, what's up, guys? This is Nerd Taku Podcast. I am your host, Eli. Today, joining me is my good friend and co-host, Ben.
Hello, listeners. Super excited to be here.
We would like to thank all our listeners for tuning in to this week's episode. We are two guys who review media entertainment on a 0.25 scale that we came up with that interprets all media, adding up to 10. We watch it so you don't have to. Spoiler warnings ahead. Ben, my guy, are there spoilers in this episode?
Oh yeah, of course there are. It's a movie review. Why wouldn't there be?
There are many spoilers ahead for this week's episode is Metropolis. Directed by Rintaro. Main English cast is Brianna Sedal, Rebecca Forsat, Michael Rice, Tony Pope. Hey Ben, how's it going?
It's going pretty good. I'm just kind of coasting along, day to day.
Yeah, I still got a cold, so I'm trying to fight this off. It's kind of a nightmare.
I'm over it, but I still have a cough, so I apologize if that is in the recording.
I apologize if you hear sniffles and coughs. So this week's episode is episode 9. We are on Metropolis. Not that 1920s one. It's the 2001 one. It's an anime. And it is loosely based on it, but it's its own thing. It's its own whole story and all that. So, Ben, would you give us the synopsis on this anime?
I'm always happy to give the synopsis. In the great city of Metropolis, severe community structures and prejudice dominate a world where humans and robots live together. Unrest and violence increase with each new day. Searching for the scientist, Dr. Lawton, suspected to violate human rights by trading organs, Japanese detective Shunsaku Ban and his nephew Kenichi arrive at Metropolis. In the scientist's laboratory, Kenichi discovers a girl without any memory of her past life. He decides to help her, so they run away together. His uncle follows him and penetrates the dark secrets of the city to find Duke Red, the man ruling from the shadows. Meanwhile, Kenichi desperately tries to protect the mysterious girl from the people hunting her. However, Duke Red and his adoptive son have their own deep reasons for chasing the girl. These reasons are connected to her true identity and the struggle for the domination of Metropolis.
Can I just read something to you? It's the IMDb synopsis. Kenichi and his uncle Ban must find the mystery behind Robot Girl Tima. That's it.
Yeah, that wouldn't make me want to watch it.
No, that synopsis on myanimelist.net is phenomenal, and I loved it. I loved all of that. That was so good. So clean.
I agree. That's what made me want to watch it.
I looked at the IMDb one, and I went, wow, this is dismal.
My anime ranked it at a 7.52.
Yeah, that's ranked at 1,651 in ranks. And popularity, it's not that popular.
It's not that popular because it's probably not that well known, to be honest.
I suggested this film because I remember as a child, I was 11, watching Cinemax. It was on there at 9 in the morning on a Saturday. And I was like, ooh, I got to the ending. And to this day, I thought it was a blimp flying away. It was a plane. My childhood was just ruined right there. Rewatching this film, I was so sad. I was hoping to see the blimp, oh, there's the blimp, there's a blimp. And then I looked at it and went, that's a plane. Well, shit, okay. Ruined my hopes and dreams. This film is super hard to find. It's super niche. It's a crime noir drama. It's there's a lot to it that made it both appealing yet not at the same time. I want to bring up one thing before we start talking about the list. I really did like the whole tower aspect. It's based on the biblical story of the Babylon Tower and how humans made a tower mightier than everything, and then God made it collapse. They even mention it in the movie. I just wanted to bring that up and just mention that a little bit. That was one thing that I thought really brought the story a little more context, and it was actually pretty cool. And then what comes around goes around was a kind of a thing that was pretty cool throughout the film.
That was probably a big thing.
Oh, yeah. And when you first watched the starting of this film, I thought the starting of this film was really a weird, like biblical sense. Remember when he it was Duke Red.
When he's preaching, yeah, he's preaching on the top of the tower. He's preaching to the masses, but there's nobody actually there. It's just him preaching to the audience that's about to watch this film.
It was actually that was pretty cool. It was a little weird in the beginning because I was like, why are you doing this? And then by the end, you're like, oh, makes sense. Makes a lot more sense. The film started, it was like walking, and then you tripped a little bit, and you're like, oh, catching myself, and now we're back to normal. Because from the synopsis watched and the trailer, I had no idea why the uncle and the son were there. Straight up, watching the film, they did not explain why he was there.
Yeah, he did. Right at the beginning, he did.
When?
He said he was a detective from the Japanese embassy searching for someone who has violated human rights.
When was that?
It was when he met the people right off the plane. Said, "This is my nephew. I am a detective from the Japanese embassy. We are searching for Dr. Lawton, who is suspected of trading in human rights."
Was that in the crowd?
Not quite in the crowd.
Yeah, that must have been a little later because I must have missed that. I was like trying to like focus on the film, and capture everything. I must have missed that.
It was probably about 10, 15 minutes in.
Okay. Because I was still like, when I was watching it and our copies were just terrible. I'm going to say now, this film is hard to find.
You can't find it. I couldn't get it on my Apple. I couldn't get it on my Prime. I couldn't get it on Hulu, on Netflix. I could not find it.
We found a copy on Watch Cartoon online, but the problem was it was like 144p and it was it was unrecognizable.
Yeah, you couldn't watch it. Like everything was a blur. There was nothing there.
So we found a copy online. We ripped it off the internet and found it, and we watched it. It was janky. It was the only way to watch it. I didn't want to pay $30 to watch a film.
Where would you have paid $30? I couldn't even find it.
Amazon. You had to buy it.
I looked on Amazon. They only had the 1920s version. They didn't even have this one.
Oh, they did. They did. I typed it in. The Blu-ray copy that you could only buy was $31.
It would have been a hard copy. See, I didn't look for a hard copy.
See, the hard copy I looked because I'm like, maybe I need to drive down to your place and just watch this with you, and then we'll record. I was that desperate. Like, I literally thought about buying it, driving down, and then watching it with you. Besides that, the film, I felt was just, it was a noir. Do you think it was a satire type of film? Because I felt like there was a lot of like biblical aspects and a lot of other meanings besides just finding this girl. I thought there was a lot of like deeper meanings.
I would put satire in the description.
Yeah, because there's a revolution, there's anarchists, there's a lot of rise up, we're the people, and then there's the robots and trauma from a video game I played. I forgot to give cyborgs human rights, and they became revolting and started a revolution. It was a good time. It was a good time.
What did you give it as a final ranking?
I gave it a 7.25.
Man, our rankings are way different.
What'd you give it?
I gave it a 9.5.
9.5?
I did.
Okay, this is going to be interesting. Let's get into the list. Story and plot.
I gave that a 1.
I gave that a 0.75.
Why?
I found the story to be just like, it wasn't connecting well in the beginning to me. Like, yeah, the grandfather said that, but that was really it. Like, that boy's drive to shoot things was not making sense to me. He was really shoot first, ask later. Wasn't really my jive. The plot was just it wasn't connecting well and forming well.
I have an opposite opinion. I thought that the plot connected really well. The story is that this guy, Duke Red, is attempting to create this ultimate power. And to do so, he has to create this robot. And he did it in his daughter's image, who he lost, who died. And this ultimate power is this tower, which gives off radium that in this film, in low doses, it destroys robots. and he wanted this ultimate power to just control the world. I'm sure if you know what radon actually does to people, or radian, whatever it's called, then you'd understand how he could control the world, but I have no idea what it does. To me, it sounds like radiation, but I'm probably way off. But anyway, he used Dr. Lawton to create this robot. And Rock, the reason that he was so shoot first, ask questions later is because Duke Red put out a law and created this mercenary group who, if robots leave their sanctions where they're supposed to be, they are destroyed. That was his job. That is what he knew. So that's what he did. But when Rock found out that, oh, Father Dearest was creating this robot to sit on the throne that Rock believed was for Duke Red and no one else, he made it his mission to make sure that this girl that was created is destroyed. And so he destroyed the plant that she was created at, and he thought that he destroyed her, but it didn't work. Kenichi was able to get her out through the sewers. So throughout this whole film, his mission is to hunt down this girl and make sure she does not take that throne, because he believes that that throne is only meant for Duke Red.
For me, I found that I just wasn't connecting with it. It felt like it was just very confusing to me at some points. Well, like mixing with the revolution and mixing with
the revolution was because the people in the lower status felt like they were repressed and weren't listened to by the hierarchy that was in control of Metropolis. Also, they were being manipulated by the military leader, who was pretending to be on the mayor's side when really he was on Duke Red's side. Duke Red wanted this revolution so that he could take control of Metropolis.
See, that was a twist in the plot that I wasn't expecting, and that was actually like one of the highlights.
Dude, I saw that coming a mile away.
I didn't see it because I was like, whoa, that's cool. Did you feel like some of the scenes felt like it was a little dragged out, like just panning and such and doing scenery shots?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I felt like the film could have been like an hour and a half, hour and 20 minutes if they didn't do all these scenery shots.
I agree. They did a lot of in between things that were happening. When something had happened and then they're kind of coming to a resolve, they'd pan out, bring in this amazing art structure, and then they'd bring in all this jazz music to kind of pump it up, and then come back to the story. So it was kind of like, okay.
Acting and voice acting.
I gave it a 1.
I gave it a 1. My favorite voice actor in this one was the uncle.
Yep, I agree. The person who voiced Shunsaku was really well done.
Yeah, I like his stuff. He does a lot of good stuff. He was in Big O, so that's why I like him. He did a lot of 90s anime, so a lot of people wouldn't know him. He passed away in 2004.
Like literally not that long after doing this movie, he passed.
His last work was Ryukujo Jujo Boita Maru-chan. His last work was in 2002, so it was a magical girl anime that did terrible. Metropolis was like his latest work that was like super big. I actually like Duke Red's voice. Duke Red's voice was so good. He's the voice in the video game Catherine. He's the voice, the big like all-seeing voice.
You know what? Now that I think about it, I can hear it.
Yep, that's the voice. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Oh, it made my day when I heard that. It was so good. I did think there was some characters that I did not really care for. One of them was Rock. I didn't really care for Rock. The voice was great, but it was like, I just didn't really care.
See, I feel like Rock was just put in there to push the story. Like, he didn't have a big part. His part was, I'm going to hunt this lady down and destroy her.
Exactly. Character development.
0.5.
Ooh, I give it a 0.75. I want to know why a 5.
Because there wasn't any development in the story at all. I was being generous with a 0.5. Nobody developed.
Uncle.
He didn't have development. He was the same throughout. He was, this is my mission. This is what I'm here for. And I'm going to get it done. That's it. What development did he have?
That's an excellent point. You son of a bitch. Yeah.
Kenichi did the same thing. Oh, I found this girl. Okay. Oh, we're being hunted. I'm going to take care of this girl. But there was no struggle throughout that brought his character up.
Rock actually had the best development, actually. I will say that. Because here's the thing. Here's the thing. Rock, he started just doing guns, 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 kill, kill, kill. But here's the thing. At the end, it was the ending with his father in the room. He's like, I'm going to kill everyone. And he killed himself in the whole act of boom, boom, kabooey, booey. He dead.
That wasn't really development as much as it was, this is my mission, and since everybody's here, I can finally kill her. I'm pushing this button. Boom. This is the only way I can kill her because she's merged with the machine. Self-destruct. Boom. I've completed my mission. That's all that was.
I felt development was, yeah, okay. You made a valid argument. I'm just going to give it a 0.5.
Yeah, I was being very generous.
Yeah,
There's no development throughout.
Yeah, okay.
Doesn't take away from the story though. It still was a good story. I wish there was more development.
Yeah, because even the revolutionary guys, they were like, revolution, revolution, revolution the whole time.
Yeah, we got a revolution. Oh shit, we've been betrayed by the military. Oh, we're all dead. Yeah, no development. I'm gonna say this. The only one that really had development was Tima because she was learning everything.
Yeah, no, you're kind of right in that. Like the robot who spoke barely learned more and developed more.
Yep.
That's sad. Sound and music.
Oh, I gave that a 1.
I gave it a 0.75. There's no discredit. This music was solid. I really enjoyed it. It was great. But here's the thing. When I hear the same trumpet line in 3 different songs, it sounds all the same to me. So it sounds like the artist, the composer, is just playing the same song 3 times. If they can spice it up a little bit, it felt like I was listening to just a jazz ensemble without really anything else. Like, I understand you're trying to get that noir, like, ooh, crime fighting feeling, but you gotta add some dramatic music, not just keep jazz through the scene when Tima was falling to her death, when Kenichi was trying to pick her up. No, you didn't have to play jazz music. That you could have just played some dramatic other music.
Okay, I can see where you're coming from, so it makes sense. But I do have to say, when he pushes that damn button to self-destruct the tower, and that fucking all that happens. There's no talking, there's no sound, it's just music going off. Man, that scene,
That was solid.
popping.
And the lyrics that came out on that, golden. It was golden. But here's the thing. When every scene, when they were transitioning, had to be a jazz, something like that. And then next scene, it's like, okay, can we stop? Please give me something else.
I can see where you're coming from. So I'll drop it to a 0.75 because you're right. It does just do the same chorus over and over with different arrangements.
Exactly. And it's just a different ensemble sound. There's a little more trombone in that one. Oh, there's a little more trumpet. Oh, there's a little more of a tuba. Yeah, okay. But do not discredit. This music was phenomenal. It was solid. It was great. Cinematography and animation.
Oh, that got a solid one, my guy.
I gave it a 0.75.
Why would you drop it?
So okay, here is my reasoning. The first shot that I thought was awesome was Rock's shot out of his gun when he shot the first robot when he came out of the gun. But then I was like, oh, that's a cool one-time shot because I didn't really care. Like, it was great at the moment. Like, ooh, that's cool. At the end, when you see that military dude and Rock go for their guns and they do that twist shot of them going to the barrels, I'm like, really? You gotta transition to that? Like, that, come on. Every scene they were doing, there was a close. It was like a shutter almost, like a shutter close, shutter open, shutter close, shutter open. I'm like, okay, there's other transitions we can use. The shot selection to me was just repetitive, and it felt like the cinematographer wasn't going for a different shot. He liked what he liked, and he wanted to keep that aesthetic, and it's fine, but it just wasn't. It wasn't creative. It was repetitive.
From the beginning, the opening, even when he's just speaking to the masses, you got the clouds behind him moving like crazy, and he's giving this major speech, and then boom, you go into the city, and then you have this phenomenal explosion of fireworks and music and all of this transitioning. If you don't watch a lot of anime, you don't understand. This is 2001, and doing that kind of work, it was all drawn. There was no CG.
Yeah, yeah.
And the transitioning that they had throughout, oh my, it was just phenomenal. The fireworks going off right at the beginning, and then when Kenichi and Tommy are Tima, sorry, are right outside of the sewer after getting out, and Kenichi is knocked out on the ground, and Tima, it's just the light on her face, and it's just the shadowing and it was just beautiful, just beautiful. It was so amazing. The art was just phenomenal. I can't explain it any better. It just, you have to watch it to see what I'm talking about. It just, oh.
See, I don't discredit any of the art. Like my complaint is the cinematography. My complaint is solely on the cinematography. The shot selections, the transitional things, I felt were very repetitive and just felt really just okay, cool. You're doing the same things. It was just a little boring. It was like, you can name a shot. It's like, okay, shot close, open shot to the scenery, and then we're going to do that pop in, pop out type of transition. It was just like, okay, it's getting a little overdone. Like, my favorite scene, like in the art, was when they were in the snow and they were all there, and you see Atlas, he was just laying on the side of that pillar, just like dying, and then you just see the cuts they were doing with the camera. They were just cutting back and forth. It was so clean, and I love the fact that they did a shot with Kenichi where he jumped up and bit him. It was like, whoa, that was different. It was exciting. It was great. But it's like, that was the one scene, and that was it. It wasn't anything to do with the art. Art was phenomenal. Like, hand drawn is amazing. Like, if you can find artists that can do hand-drawn, it's amazing. It did look like Astro Boy to me a little bit. It felt wicked Astro Boy vibes, but that was just me. I don't know if you felt the same. I felt a little Astro Boy vibe. I don't know why when I was looking at it. I think it was just the uncle. The uncle looked like he was from Astro Boy a little bit because of his round face. Overall, it was amazing. It looked so good. It was just that cinematography, some of those shots that were just repetitive. Directing.
That got a 0.75.
0.75. Yeah, same here. Why'd you give it a 0.75?
Because I put what you were saying, the transitions, into the directing.
I gave a little bit of it was more near the end for the directing. I felt like it was great to see Tima get that moment of I understand. And it was great. But I just think it was a little lackluster. I wished it was more. I love the director. He did a great job in this film. Camera shots were kind of with my directing as well, because I felt some of the selective shots in the beginning and a little bit more in the middle were just not my thing.
I didn't like the shutter in, shutter out, shutter in, shutter out. I'm like, why are you doing that?
Yeah, it made no sense.
Just go to the next scene. Don't go black then come in, then go black then come in. I don't like that.
Yeah, I know. They were trying to do like a 1920s noir cartoon type thing, and I just didn't like it.
I agree.
Attraction.
I gave that a 1.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I gave it a 0.5.
Really?
Yeah. Starting this film, it was not appealing to me at all. I wasn't invested really. I tried. It took about 30 minutes to
How though? I just don't get it.
The plot did. So here's the thing. When I mentioned in the beginning, when I missed the fact that they came from Japan, like it made no sense to me. So it took 30 minutes to understand all these motives and get them tied together and make understanding of it.
Okay. Since you didn't understand the plot, I can see that. But you had no attraction from the beginning. Like the art, the fireworks, the big explosions going on, the music going on right at the beginning. None of that attracted you at all?
No, it was there. It was cool, but I wasn't real. The shot, that first shot with Rock, that was appealing. That was super appealing of a cool, like, oh, I've never seen that in an anime before. So that was pretty cool. After that, nothing really. The uncle kept me going because the uncle was pretty cool. I like his style. I like the fact that he was a fatty and ate a lot of food and was trying to run away from not paying for it. And I was really it. And there was nothing concrete there for about 20, 30 minutes.
I was hooked right at the start, man. I loved watching. I didn't understand why he was being all preachy, but I loved watching the way that they did that and the clouds overhead and him standing right on top of this tower being all preachy, and then the transition into showing you Metropolis with all this fireworks and the blimps that were flying by and the celebrations they were having, and I loved it.
Yeah, I could see why you liked it. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I was just made with plot and all that. Dialogue.
0.75.
0.75. I thought it was not strong. It had a lot of lackluster moments, and it was just felt very nothing strong.
I agree. Like, they brought up your plot points and then just kind of moved along with the story. Like, there wasn't really anything that popped out dialogue wise. There wasn't a lot of humor. There wasn't any like really captivating moments, you know? It just kind of cruised along.
Yeah, exactly.
It was like just trying to push the plot but not having any real dialogue to move it.
Scenery.
Scenery got a 1.
I gave it a 0.75. That was before we talked about like some of the better shots. So I'm making that a 1.
I mean, I already went over why, really. It's just phenomenal art. And
The blowing up of that building was peak.
the explosion, yes, that was just wow. It was a huge wow factor. It's not something you were expecting.
No, I wasn't expecting that at all.
I was like, oh yeah, he's in there and he's gonna finally get his final shot off. Nope, I'm gonna blow up the whole damn building. Fuck you all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, that was a point that was just so it was so good. Finally recommended.
I gave that a 1.
I gave it a 0.5 for here's my reasoning. The availability of it. I am not going to recommend this film. I recommend it, but here's the thing. I don't recommend pirating it. I don't recommend stealing it. I don't recommend that. If it comes to a streaming platform, fantastic. If it doesn't, don't pirate it. It's too much of a hassle, in my opinion. Find a DVD copy of it if you can, but it's good. It's a great film, but the availability of it, I wouldn't put the time and effort into it.
Okay, I see that. So I'll drop mine to a 0.75. It is really, really hard to find. I just gotta say, the art alone, I will strongly recommend watching this just because of the art alone. It's phenomenal. You cannot expect any better from 2001. I cannot believe how flawless this movie ran. It was just, there were no hiccups, you know? It wasn't grainy. I don't know how to explain it, but it was just, the art alone gave me a very high, yes, I recommend this to any anime watcher.
Yeah, no, this anime is really good. It's an anime I recommend to people to watch if they're going to start watching anime movies. It's a little long. I will say that. It's a little long. It could have been cut down to 1:30 with all the scenery shots and all the transitions, but it's still a good film. If you're going to get into the movie scene, I would start watching this and a couple others, but this one's a really good one. But if you can find it digitally, bravo. There's nothing on God's green earth that has a digital copy unless you pirate it. And our copy was terrible. It was janky. It was just downright, sometimes unplayable. The audio would stop. The music would cut out. It was just bad. And it would freeze so bad. If you can find a copy digitally, I'd recommend it. If you want to get a hard copy, go right ahead. I just didn't want to pay money for it if I already had the subscription service, because I already have majority of the anime subscription services. So I was like, it has to be on one of these. Nope, not at all.
You know, I do have a couple of things, like going back on plot.
Okay.
You know how the building blows up and Kenichi's standing there after Tima makes her fall, right?
How did he survive, right?
How the fuck did he survive that?
I have no idea, okay? It's anime non-logic. It's like, why the fuck was 5 there? Exactly.
Why the fuck was 5 there?
We're gonna talk about that's an anime we're gonna talk about later. Once we talk about it, come back and rewatch. You'll understand. But why? Why? How did his uncle survive? Look at the city.
I can see how his uncle survived. He got out. He went the opposite direction of Kenichi.
Here's the thing. That was a city-wide destruction.
Agreed.
There was no way in God's green earth that explosion alone looked like nothing survived.
Okay. Well, then how the fuck did anybody survive? I don't know.
It's Metropolis. What do you expect? How do you fly out? How is he flying out? The airport's destroyed probably.
I don't know. I don't know. That
anime logic.
That's anime logic. There it is.
Yep.
Also, I have to add, Fifi was best boy, okay?
Fifi, best boy.
I fucking loved Fifi. And then when he died, he got shot. I was so fucking sad. I was like, nope, I don't want to watch this anymore. But then they show him at the end, and I'm like, oh, Fifi's alive.
Fifi was best boy. Yes, Fifi was best boy.
Fifi was best boy.
It was so good. It was solid. I loved it.
And then they kind of don't really explain. Tima apparently died.
But lived on.
But then again, at the very end, her voice is still there. So is she dead? Or are they putting her back together? Like, what's going on?
She's in the system.
Again, anime plot holes.
That's why plot got a 0.75 for me.
So I have to drop my 1 to a 0.75 for those couple of reasons. I forgot about them till I was reading my notes, and I'm like, oh yeah, but why did I give it a 1?
Yeah.
Well, I just contradicted myself, so I will drop it to 0.75.
To wrap it up, I gave this anime a 7.25.
8.75.
This film overall showed what 2001, the max in anime, what you could do. Like, this film showed hand-drawn to the highest degree. It was great. The story was a little convoluting with like the ending and such, but that's fine. That's fine. With great art, great colors, great scenery, and the characters were just so good throughout the story. And it all tied together. It was great. I loved it. It was a great adventure, but the availability of this will make it hard to recommend right now. But if you can find it or get it, watch it. I do recommend it if you can get accessibility to it.
Right. If you can get your hands on it, don't pass it up. It's a good movie. It's a great movie.
So we're going to talk about next week's episode. Next week's is Big Stan. Now, I watched the trailer. I give it a 3.
Hey, I gave it a 3.
This looks downright one of the worst.
Dumpster fire.
Oh my! The fire is inferno. It's bad. It's so bad.
I agree. I don't know if I'm gonna enjoy this or not, but watching the trailer, I can tell you, I highly doubt I'm gonna like this movie.
Yeah, this movie's gonna suck a lot. I'm not gonna enjoy this. It looks like, but I think that's all the time we got this week. Thanks everyone for tuning in to the Nerd Taku podcast. I am Eli.
I'm Ben. Thanks for coming, guys.
Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to like, subscribe, share this with your friends, and don't forget to follow us on all the socials. And we're on all podcasting platforms, so you guys take care and have a good week.
Thanks for joining us, guys. I really enjoyed doing this.
Yep. Bye, guys.
Yo. Wanna hear you go?